Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this panel, 21st Century Publishing. My name is Markus Linde. I'm a sync agent and a music supervisor from Germany, and I'm also a member of the Europe in Sync project, my colleagues are sitting over there. We are doing separate sessions, a workshop and a panel. The panel after this will be quite interesting, so I invite you all to join that as well. Who are you? I could see you when the light was on. I suppose there's a few publishers here. Publishers, right? Artists. Okay. Artist managers or other. Okay, that's quite a good mixture. How old are you? Is there anyone under 25? Wonderful. 25 to 35? Ancient, no comments? Well, I'm more ancient than you. I started working in the music business in the early 80s, and for a long time I didn't have a clue about music publishing at all, didn't know how it worked and how it was done. But I had 3 distinctive memories of publishing in my early time working for the record company side. In my first job for an independent label and distributor, I worked for a band called Einstürzende Neubauten. The ancient ones will remember the band. They were quite cutting edge and dangerous and anti-establishment and loud and stage destroying and everything not really established. But I was very impressed when I heard that they not only founded their own publishing company, but they also took GEMA, the German Collection Society, to court about rights issues. And they won the court case in a sensational way, which made them instant heroes of the independent scene and rebels and pirates and everything. So they've always been really, really cool. Still no idea about publishing what it was, but it sounded quite interesting. Then I joined a company called CBS, which later became Sony Music, of course. And I met publishers in those times, working for a very successful major, only when we had gold awards, gold disc awards. In those days, for the ones under 35, you were awarded a gold disc, a physical gold disc, for 250,000 units sold, singles or albums, which always was, of course, a cause for celebration, and we had parties. And that's when well-groomed publishers turned up to collect their gold disc as well for their work for the artist and for the record. You never knew what they were doing for the artist and for the record. They turned up. We all knew that they disappeared to a mystic place called Cannes once in a year to have their own conferences, but they never turned up at meetings or at important concerts or other stuff. So that was like publishers was something else. And then I became a marketing manager, and suddenly a publisher turned up like more or less every month in my office, briefing me about the artists that we had on our artist roster at the record company. He knew basically, or generally, he knew more about the artists I was going to work with than I did or than the record company did, because he had been working with them for a long time. He briefed me, he took me to meetings, he gave me advanced copies of albums and everything. And that was an independent publisher, still active in Germany, a company called Winthrop, who normally would have been here as well. The guy is still active, he's in his, I don't know, mid-70s or something, and he still does the same, really work for his acts and be active for that. So those were my memories of publishing and my connection with publishing, but I didn't have like a first-hand professional idea. Then in end of 96, 97, I took a break from working for the record companies, and I became a publisher myself overnight. Basically, didn't have a lot of idea how to publish, what you were doing, who you were working with. I got a 24-hour crash course, and the rest was learning by doing. And I had one of the best times of my professional life doing that, because from going from a record company where you were in charge of, like, the physical, in those days, the physical product, going through the motions with releasing and promoting and going on tours and getting gold discs, not getting gold discs, had become a bit one-dimensional for me. And going further in the creative line of work and meeting the people behind the music and the really creative ones who were not just great and glamorous on stage, but were responsible for these pieces of art. That was quite a revelation for me. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed working on the publishing side. Did this for several years until early 2004, when I became a freelance sync agent and music supervisor. So that is my background in publishing. Of course, I work with publishers more or less on a day-to-day basis these days, in terms of licensing for my sync jobs. So the experience has been generally very positive and very wide, and I have seen publishing develop over the years. So the subject of our session today, publishing 21st century, may sound a bit pathetic or may sound a bit big, but then again, the 21st century is almost 20 years old, and I think it's nice to have a little panel about that subject. So welcome again, and welcome my guests, our guests on this panel, from left to right, from my side. Wendy from Norway, Guild Music. Craig from the UK, ANG Music. FREDRIK NEDELMANN, Freibank Publishing in Germany. And MATTEO CERNUSCHI from Luxembourg.
And ANote Music.
Exactly. Would you guys introduce yourselves shortly before we come back to you individually? Matteo, would you begin?
So, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here on Saturday morning. Well, I'm the co-founder of ANote Music, which is a new, let's say, way of funding your music career. So what we do is we created a stock exchange with a trading platform and so a marketplace as well to sell the future royalties, the future rights of your works. So in this way you can get a cash advance from day one and then develop your career. But then the difference with the normal, let's say, publishing contract or with a record label is that you keep the rights, basically. You are just giving away the economical rights that you are generating. So this is our, let's say, approach. And about my background, it's much more financial and on the management consulting rather than musical, like in the case of Mark. And we are here in Luxembourg creating this, let's say, alternative, not alternative, it's way to increase liquidity for the whole independent music industry, because I think that what everybody's interested is to avoid that, let's say, the majors eat everything, and I think we could be a good partner for publishers, record labels, and independent authors to, let's say, achieve this goal of, let's say, keeping independency, which in the end, independency is linked to money, because you need to be able to do it, and so I hope during the discussion we will be able to dig a bit into the details to give you a deeper overview.
Thank you.
Thank you.
FREDRIK.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is FREDRIK. I'm General Manager of Freibank Music Publishing from Hamburg in Germany. And we are the publishers of Einstürzende Neubauten. So I have to say they are still active. Next year they have their 40 years stage jubilee. So they have big tours all over the world still, and dropping a new album next year as well. So they are spanning like your whole career as well, and are still active as you are. But for an artist, that's quite nice, I'd say. So
and they're still healthy and alive, I hear.
And they're still healthy and alive. Yeah, yeah. This is the most impressive thing about that, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, Freibank is as an independent publisher for little more than 30 years in the business right now, and indeed it was the first thing about Freibank that we we haven't been sued by GEMA, but by another publishers association in Germany, who said that Freibank is kind of doing a collecting society because we took the mechanical rights out of the GEMA and collected directly at the labels, which is totally normal in the US, for example, that there is no mechanical collecting society, but just for performing. And we did the same in Germany, and this was like the Publishers Association of Germany said there is someone doing his own collecting society, and that doesn't work. But yeah, it worked, and we came through. But I think we're still the only ones doing it, and this really had an impact in the physical times when we had physical copies of records, because we could tell people we are much faster than in collecting your money than going through the collecting societies, because we know it was the time of albums as well. It was not a single track, it was an album. So you know there is a label putting out a whole album with 12 tracks. This label will pay to a collecting society. This collecting society will keep this money for 1.5 years, then take off 20 to 25%, and then distribute it to the artists. And what Freibank said is, we know the label. We can just go to the label, a license for the copies they sell, and our artists have the money in 3 months without any deduction. So this was the idea, and this worked very well. And so we saw a change of the industry going to the streaming and non-physical market. So this impact of this mechanical isn't that big anymore. But still, you get an idea of how we try to help our artists and be partners of our artists to get their money as soon as possible and the most out of it. And there are still, and again, lots of challenges these days. Yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Hi, I'm Craig. I work at ANG Sync as a senior sync creative. So we essentially represent independent labels, publishers, management companies, composers, artists, anything basically.
Are you a publisher yourself?
We also have a publishing arm under the ANG umbrella, so that's called ANG Songs. We do a lot of bespoke work with a lot of the composers and producers we work with under that. So some of the record labels we represent are like Dirty Hit, who have got like Wolf Alice and 1975, and we've also just started repping Chess Records, who's got like Etta James and Muddy Waters and stuff, which was a big one. And yeah, we work across all forms of media, all across the globe. So this year we've worked on quite a few US TV shows, so like 13 Reasons Why, Grey's Anatomy, also Killing Eve, which was BBC. And we've this year been making sort of an aggressive push into Trailerland, both in America and both in the UK as well. So that's been a big thing for us this year, and we're starting up a production house tailored towards that, and that's going to be, again, under the ANG umbrella. But I guess sort of what I can offer on this panel is more of a creative opinion on how you can work best with your publisher to procure as many opportunities, and how you can work under the sync sphere in terms of bespoke and, you know, everything in between.
We'll get back to that soon.
Sure.
Wendy, welcome.
Yes, Wendy, based in Oslo. I run the company Guilt, and we do primarily like publishing, but we also do artist services and services for labels and whomever who needs help with anything regarding music stuff. And we also, like Guilt, we have a focus on the producers and the composers we work with, like all of the rights holders we work with. We have a focus on placements. So we want to not just only do like the traditional publishing job as in administrating their rights, as like just like taking care of their cuts and making sure that they get paid and etc. But we also want to have a strong focus on the film and TV scene, and like pitch directly to directors and producers, so they get a better chance in having like their music out there, and not just release it and then it's there, but actually have more more worth of their music.
Let's stay with you for a while. So what you say in your portfolio is that you make sure that the writers' rights are taken care of. For the writers in the room, how do you find your writers, and how do they find you in the first place?
It can go both ways. They find me, like, we have a strong position in Norway now, so it's just, it's easy to find us. But I I have to follow, like, see what's going on in the music scene, who's writing songs with whom, young people, more like established. I'm very like into established people these days, just because they've been in the business for a while, and it's kind of different to work with them. But then we started working together when we have signed a deal, and then we just go through like all their works and see like, okay, is this registered correct in the PRO? In Norway it's Tono. Here in Berlin it's Gemma, and different in different countries. But then we go through all their work to see if it's registered correctly, if the name of the song is written correctly, because if it's not, then they may miss out of a lot of payments. And we also have like this deal with a bigger publishing company called Music Sales, so they cover like the rest of the world, so we can be focusing on Norway, and then they can take care of everything else.
They're covering the world as your sub-publisher, as your
like
publishing partner.
Yeah, co-publisher.
But you're a small company, I understand. There's how many of you?
We're 2 people running it, and we have 7 writers on our roster.
So that's small and neat. But I understand you correctly. You're doing all this administrative stuff yourself. You're doing the registration, all this. When it's important, and some of you may know it. For others, it may be new. This administration stuff, to see that a song is written properly, that the name of the composers are written properly in the registration, and everything. That's the nitty-gritty, very unsexy part of the world in the world of publishing.
But then the most important.
It's the most important part.
Most
absolutely. Yeah.
It's basic.
You're doing that. You're doing that yourself.
We do that ourselves, but now we wanted to like outsource stuff more, just to focus more on signing more writers, and especially composers, and also to like build up our network in the film industry in Norway. Because the music scene is one thing, but if you want to place music in TV and film, then you really need to know the people who actually are making the decisions in choosing the songs they want to use in their productions.
How many composers? You have seven composers. You said.
We have like 2 who's like composers, and then we have some producers, and we have some bands, and it's very like different. Everything from like pop to ambient to electronic. But it's good to have a vast of different genres, so you can have then you have the opportunity to pitch more like different music to different people.
The reason why I'm asking is so it's not just the range of the artistic range of artists, but also they are in different stages of releases, marketing, and everything in their careers. So you are not just administrating, you're also generating income for them. You place them with labels, you release yourself?
No, we don't do label work. They
Okay.
have their own labels, many of them. But we do like focus on like the synchronization part, which is a big part of publishing. It should be, at least. But like in Norway, it's like being a publisher in Norway is very fresh. It's not that many publishing companies, and we're like one of the few who actually do it. So like in Norway, it's like not everyone knows what a publisher is. And like when I started working with publishing 3 years ago, I got introduced to it like when I was in the beginning of my 20s, when I worked in this music supervision company. And then I was like, oh, the publisher, they have a cut in the song too. I didn't know. And then it started there, and then I wanted to start my own company.
But you work from Norway, but you've been to America recently for a while for your sync music placement job?
Yes, we have. Well, it's not like recently. It was in April. We try to go there like at least a couple of times a year.
Okay.
Just to like keep our relationships warm with the people we know down there. But it's like a huge scene there when it comes to the like film and TV industry. But also in Norway, things are growing there as well. So we have like focus both in the Nordics and in the US.
Okay. Well, sync obviously is like one of the most important things to exploit music rights properly as a publisher. Is it very competitive in Norway, or do you find it competitive when you come to America? Is a lot of like everyone's trying to get a piece of the cake?
I feel like it's more. It's kind of hard to say. It's more competitive in the US, but it's a bigger market. So in a way, it might be easier. We don't, yeah. But in Norway, it's like they don't even know what a music supervisor is. So it's like, and then when you start to like saying like, yeah, but you have to clear these rights to use the song, and it's like very basic stuff you have to talk to the producers about actually. And then there's a gap there, so we're thinking like, okay, maybe we can be the people helping them to clear stuff and also pitch from our catalog. So recently I did a work in that way actually, and that went very well. So
Is sync, if I may ask, is sync your main source of income?
it's the fast and good income. So but we also do like agent work for some of our composers, where we like handle their contracts with the film production company, because a lot of them they don't know, they feel it's like it's weird to like sell themselves, like saying like I'm worth this amount of money, so it's easier for them to like just ask us to, can you please just handle this contract for me, and then we do it, and then we help them to get what they deserve when it comes to what they should get to compose a score.
Yeah. So sync, as you will all have noticed if you visited these conferences regularly, sync is not just about picking a nice song, the right song for a scene or a situation. Sync is also very important on the legal side as well. You have to know your legal situation, which leads to A&G. You obviously know your legal rights, you know the competition, and you know how to approach the potential clients. How, for the sake of the audience, like how does that work? When you say you represent catalogs, do publishers and labels come to you and say, look, we've got this catalog, can you do something for us?
Yeah, so every situation is completely different, but most of the time it is either something that we feel that we can represent to our best of abilities, and clients are after that sort of music. For instance, we've been taking on a lot of vintage catalogs now, and that is just this year landed so much. A lot of US TV are just all over vintage catalogs, especially if there's like public domain works as well, so they can clear for low budget. A lot of the US TV isn't very good money at all. It's just how it is. So stuff like that is how we approach catalogs. I think in the
vintage. Sorry to interrupt. Vintage meaning old catalogs, like catalogs who sometimes where the master rights have already gone back to public domain.
Yeah.
So they are that old.
So like 20s and stuff like that, and then if the composer's died, and there's a whole process how that works. But basically, what it means is that we can clear the publishing as well. That's kind of the crux of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And then a lot of world music as well. But a lot of how we approach that is, do we have a use for it? Can we rep it? Because a lot of these catalogs are 700-800 titles, and we're a very small team. So to go through 800 titles and like understand where we can pitch each of them is a huge process. We've got a catalogue, an Australian one called Mushroom. They're one of the biggest record labels in Australia, and they have literally close to 1,000 titles. and I had to go through every single one of them songs. So I mean, stuff like that. We don't do stuff like that anymore. We have to really get it down to 100 tracks. Because we don't want to give the client, we don't want to give the rights owners false expectations of what we can do with that music.
So you're going to sit down with them when they come to you and say, look, we've gone through your catalog.
Yeah.
This is our opinion. We have a good feeling about these 75 or 100 tracks from your catalog.
Yeah.
We are going to use them to propose them to potential users. You use the word pitch for those who are not familiar with it. Pitching means to bring that to potential clients,
Yes.
to offer it for scenes, for commercials.
Yeah, so I mean, it also works in a different way. We sit down with the rights owners and show them what client briefs we're getting. So what that essentially means is our client, whether that's an ad agency, a music supervisor working in any form of media, will say we want something like, I don't know, let's say we want something that sounds like Beyonce. We've got 10 grand and we want it to talk about platonic love, so love between like friends and family, and then we have to go into our catalogue of all of the record labels and pick what sounds like Beyonce and has platonic love and stuff. So I think when we're sitting down with them rights owners as well, we're showing them the briefs and saying, look, this is why we think these tracks are going to work, because these are the briefs that we get in frequently. And then, you know, if they think otherwise, then we just sort of meet in the middle. But I think it is very like a collaborative process with the rights owners. It's not just like, this is how it's going to be, this is what we want. It's very much working with them. And our relationships with them there are some sync agents that just take on mass music. And you can almost do nowadays sort of a sign-up online thing, and then you can submit your music and they'll sort of send you a mass email with a brief or something. We don't work like that. We work very, very close with the rights owners that we represent, and it's sort of a day-to-day communication by phone and text and all of that sort of stuff.
I understand that communication, like into both directions, seems to be really, really important.
Yeah, we're like the middle. We class ourselves as the middlemen between the rights owners and the client, and it's kind of like this juggling act, especially when it gets to quoting, when the client wants to use the music. It's kind of like you want the most money for your rights owners and for yourself, because we're on commission, you know, we're not retainer or anything.
I was going to come to that.
Yeah.
You're not just proposing music, but you're also going through the negotiations. Yes. and doing the legal stuff as well. And you sort out how much someone gets for the use of their work.
Yeah, and I mean, it can be a really tricky process because you're trying to please both sides. You know, you have a client whose relationship you really want to keep, but again, you work on behalf of the rights owner. So that's a very tough part of the job. But you know, we managed to do it. So,
well, doing panels about the use of music in commercials and speaking with the other side, the client side, a lot. We always come across the complaints that the budget for music is also the one that is under scrutiny. And when they have to save money somewhere for anything, they take it from the music side and they think of music. When they think of music, the rest is mostly done, and then you get what's left over, basically.
Right. Yeah, and that's really tough because you get the same excuse all the time. It's they'll get exposure, and it's kind of like, you're a major brand, you know, like you're a bank, or you're like the biggest like car company within this country, and you know you've got like 10 grand or something for your national advert. It's a little bit insulting, but at the same time you need to understand how to communicate that, and again be the middleman, because you know, who knows, that exact client could give you another request a week later for a brand that's offering 150 grand, 200 grand, who knows. But it's kind of that, like knowing how to deal with that, because again, you'll propose a low fee to the rights owner, and they'll be like, hang on, that's a really low like production rate music sort of thing, and it kind of, the rights owners get insulted, understandably. It's like, how dare they offer me £1,000 for their huge £1 million advert? But we do get brands that sort of see music as sort of just worthless, and it's kind of trying to communicate that it's not worthless. There's a lot of There's a lot of like work and passion in that.
It's a, like, you have a diplomatic mission as well, and a kind of pedagogical mission as well to make them understand that they have to pay for musical rights and stuff. Do you see a tendency, like some of us remember the times of the big productions and big budgets when there were like six-figure license fees and stuff? I can see that this has been going down constantly over the recent years, but there's in quantities there's more and more productions, less expensive productions for use on the internet. So the demand for music in commercials seems to be really going up, although the prices are going down. Do you see that as well?
I mean, I think the big budget ones are there, definitely. We landed a six-figure last week, so that was a big pat on the back. That was great.
That means a great commission for you as well.
Oh my God, trust me, it's a good Christmas for the family this year. So yeah, they're definitely still there, and it's good when that happens, but it's not probably as frequent as it used to be. But at the same time, there's a lot of forms of media now that they didn't used to be. You know, Instagram, for example, like they're lower rates. They're nowhere near six figures if you do a 10-second Instagram ad. But think of how many times a day you go on Instagram and there's an advert there. That's a license fee. And it's a low license fee, but you know, Burberry, Prada, all these incredible brands, there's music supervision companies just tailored towards them 10-second Instagram videos because there's money in it. And there's streaming and there's all these different forms of media like Netflix and so on, which can really make an artist, can really make a songwriter, can really propel the career of someone that might have otherwise not have had that opportunity. So I think it's a very exciting time, and there's always new forms of consuming media, and what that means is that there's going to be more opportunities for songs to get licensed.
I was going to ask about the effect that a commercial can have on the career of an artist. Yeah. Like for some artists, €1,000 or pounds is not a lot of money, but for some artists at a certain stage of their career, it can mean like another 3 months of paying the rehearsal space or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of back-end royalties as well that can, you know, every time that gets played, you're going to get paid. So it's not just
that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just a lot of people see the license fee, but it's not just the license fee. I think a good example, actually, we publish and sort of represent an artist called Iva, who's from the Faroe Islands, and she's an incredible artist. She's a throat singer, and we've got her on God of War, the game, and HBO trailers, and she's just amazing. But she co-composes a Netflix show called The Last Kingdom, which is on its 3rd series, I think, now. And her composer fee for that is really not much at all. It's very, very low. But the back-end royalties that she gets from that are nearly 6 figures. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of people will see that one-off fee and go, oh my God, like you're co-composing a major Netflix show, but then the back end is astronomical. So
yeah. Do we still get the final question, these commercials who have so much impact that with one song they can break an artist worldwide?
Yeah.
We all remember like the Clash in Levi's and the iPhone or Apple commercials in general have a great impact for sexy product and stuff.
Yeah, and you're seeing it more and more and more. There's a show in the UK called Love Island. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it literally is the biggest. It's ridiculous. It's the worst show ever. Like it's just unscripted. Like they just all put in a house and they live together for a month. But so I think 5 million people watch it a day in the UK. 5 million. Like just a bunch of people living together. It's unbelievable. But that is under the blanket license. So what the blanket license, I don't know how to explain that in the most simplistic form. But the blanket license is basically, I guess it's like 5-6 channels in the UK pay like an upfront fee, a large fee, and they can go into this pool of music which has got the most, a huge amount of music in the UK, and they can just use anything that's on sort of that blanket license, I guess. And they use a huge amount of music each episode, like throughout every single show. And what that has done for a lot of artists is propel them. Like, there's an artist called Freya Ridings who was virtually unknown, one song out, had hardly any streams on Spotify, and she got a featured use on that show. It was the end credits, the closing scene, like 2 characters broke up or whatever. And that song went #1 for 2 weeks in the UK, and then she was at Lollapalooza, like she was at Glastonbury this year, and she's like fully like a massive artist now, and that is just from that one spot.
There's more impact than Top of the Pops
Yeah,
these days.
I guess it kind of is like the modern Top of the Pops, I guess,
Yeah.
like if you want. But yeah, and then there's like things like Made in Chelsea. A lot of this sort of shit TV is like making artists, and I think you're seeing adverts as well. Apple are a great example and have been a brilliant example for the past like 10, 15 years. There's an artist called Sophie Tucker who they just off of Sync alone, they've turned into this huge artist and have earned millions and millions off of Sync. So I think it can really propel songwriters and artists. The power of Sync should not be underestimated.
Definitely. Thanks, Ray. That's been really insightful. For the audience, we will have time for Q&A after the session, so I think some of you may have questions for Wendy, for everyone on the stage. Wait a second until we've done our rounds, because we're getting a lot of interesting information here. Frederick, as Craig was saying, to have a sync fee is the start, and then there's performance royalties to collect, and tracking the syncs, which is one of the things that you're doing a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would like just to step back and go to the newcomers that you are working with, and you talked about how to build newcomers, and this is really important for all our industry to have newcomers building a life of the music, and they all come and ask for syncs. Of course, they go to the publisher and ask, "Will you place a sync for me?" And I think as a more or less decent publisher, you can't promise anything about the sync. So we have to think about other ways or having other ways for artists making a living out of their art, not only focusing on sync. So this is a bit like in the last years, it's all about sync, but although there are so many opportunities right now, even they are not that good paid anymore as it has been 10 years ago, but there are lots of opportunities, but not everyone will get a sync. I think there are 40,000 new tracks on Spotify each day, so how will they find their sync? And for a publisher, it's quite easy to make a living out of a big catalog, like coming from performance and from streaming and from everywhere. Money comes in. But for a single independent artist, it doesn't work. And it won't work if not even the title of the work is written correctly at the collecting societies. And if there is not a structure that collects worldwide usage, because if you put out a single on Spotify, it's worldwide. You need someone to care for the worldwide performing or streaming rights of this track. And this artist, he's playing live. He's playing live like 12 shows in Germany. What we just had last year, from the 12 shows an artist played, like 2 or 3 have been accounted by the collecting society last year. This is through the whole industry.
How do you find out about that? How do you know? Well, there's means to register the performances, the live concerts to go played here?
Close communication with your artist, that you know what's going on. You need to know what's going on. You need to know that he tells you, I have been in Sweden and I played a tour and I have good streaming results over there. So you can tell your partners over there has been something for this artist, have a look. Or he needs to tell you, I played a tour in Germany, this have been the venues, this have been the dates, and this has been my set list as well. So then, and this is the nice thing about the 21st century, that we can more or less automatically track what comes in and what we know about.
So there's a formula that you know they've played that many gigs and
Yeah,
and
we can.
in
We
these
just see what
territories.
comes
and-
in from
yeah.
GEMA. GEMA has to pay for the whole year once a year for the performing, for the live performances, and if we have a tracking of what had happened with our works, and when we see what came in, then we have like, okay, it's just the third of what happened came in and has been distributed, and this is industry wide in Germany, for example, at the collecting society. And so you need someone that cares and goes to the collecting society, tells them there is missing 2/3 of what my artist did last year. And if he gets this 2/3, this can start making a living out of his shows and out of his artistic work. And it's the same when you go to France. You see, they're all these collecting societies have people sitting there that just get the money and go home if they have distributed something or not. It doesn't change anything for them. But it changed something for the artist and it changed something for the publisher. So if you have a publisher sitting there in France, caring for your artist and going to SACEM, telling them there is missing 2/3 of the live income, and chasing this guy over there to have a look for it, then he will get a better check, and he will get a better check for his publishing partners. So this is the most important thing: is information, good relationship between the publisher and the artist, and then looking into the specific situations in the territories, how to resolve just really the basic income streams that exist for 100 years right now. It's just this basic revenue streams, which are still not just fluently going. So it's still there. But the 21st century makes us the digital and computer technology that we can handle this a little bit better, and we have to face this enormous data coming in from streaming, which no artist can really read. So
you use different technology to track these incomes. You get notice of the live income, then you have.
This is a question of software and people who have an idea of what looks like plausible and what doesn't look plausible. So
and the same goes for you have a track on YouTube, and people are watching your video like 50,000 times or 1 million times, and then suddenly you see there's a commercial running, in a pre-roll commercial running in front of your video. How is that done? I think some of the artists have made the experience.
Yeah, this is quite interesting because it's just 1.5 years ago that YouTube paid the first lump sum for usages for 6 years of YouTube in Germany to our collecting society, and our collecting society GEMA isn't that good in communicating how it works with this lump sum and how it works with future income from YouTube, which should be stream by stream, really. So if you know about streams, then you should go to your publisher, I know about these streams, and then your publisher can go to GEMA and tell them in this period, these and these clicks have been
But
done.
does GEMA do any tracking with the help of technology?
This is quite interesting as well, because this is throughout Europe that the collecting societies begin to make use of scanning technologies. There are some players around who have this fingerprinting technology and scanning, like TV broadcasting and internet usages. And I don't know, everyone who has a Google account can see how fast Google just detects your piece of music. It's just half an hour and you have all usages of your music in any user-generated content all over the world, and to track it down just for 3-second usages. So the technology is incredible, and now the collecting societies start to cooperate with this kind of technology. But this is always the difficulty, because we are, as publishers, we are working with compositions and not with recordings. So a single composition can have lots and lots and lots of recordings. And if you're working with catalogs that are more than, or even 30 years old, and tracks just have been put out on vinyl, and now you have them on someone put it on YouTube, there isn't a digital master from a publisher who can provide it to a collecting society to match it with internet streams or something. So this doesn't work 100%, but for recent catalogs and for all the up-to-date stuff that's going on in TV, it will work. But then, again, coming back to the newcomers, there are other problems for them. For example, if you have a track on radio, which is great for new artists, being played on college radio, and they come to us and say, yeah, and we're in this college radio, that and that and that. We are in the top 5 and heavy rotation and everything. And then we just have to tell them, yeah, but these college radios are too small. They won't be collected track by track by our collecting society. You have to be on one of the bigger stations, and then you will be part of the distribution, but not if you have just tracks on the smaller radio stations. So this might be one of the jobs of a good publisher as well, to find partners in the industry to work for this newcomers to make a better distribution of low income, for example, radio submissions, which is very important for everyone. And the technology nowadays shouldn't be, so it should be easy. Even a small college radio has digital playlists which can be provided easily. So
that was quite. I was going to ask, like, the typical conflict question. Like, there's artists who say, well, I'm a member of a society anyway, and my society is very efficient, and I get my paycheck from them.
Which is quite typical for the Scandinavians. When we talk to Scandinavia, they all love their societies. And for example, we work with Anders Trentemøller from Denmark, and all the rights are excluding Denmark because, well, I'm so happy with my collecting society and everything is fine. I think maybe the territory is more easy. It's easier to handle, probably. I don't know, but it's quite typical for Scandinavia.
Like the Nordics, they collaborate a lot. So that's one thing. But then again, when it comes to this publishing thing that I mentioned, like Sweden's been doing this for a long time, and now Denmark and Norway were like trying to do a good job ourselves. But then again, it's like just the knowledge of how do you collect the money from the US if your song's been played there. Like, but a lot of the artists and writers, they don't know that maybe you should have a publisher who has a deal with another publisher in that country who can collect it for you. So it's more like they don't know like the whole thing like around it, how the collecting thing works. They just know somebody collects it, but they don't know. Yeah. So that's our job, to make them understand in some kind of way and just do the job, and then they can see the numbers and they'll be happy, hopefully.
Thanks for the moment. We must not miss you out, Matteo, because what's the way from a publisher, you have a publishing background, to what you're doing now? I think you have to explain again you were awarded. You won an award at the BMA conference the other week for what you're doing. So this is really interesting, and if you could elaborate a bit on that.
Yes. So our job is a bit different from the one of these gentlemen and this lady. What we are trying to do is really become a silent partner for them. Like, especially in the case of Wendy, when she was saying in the beginning, yeah, we have 7 songwriters, composers, we want to expand, go to the US, finding new deals. Yes, okay, but how do you do that? Either you go to a bank, you ask for a loan. If you're lucky, they give you a loan, but they ask you for the warranty of your house, the collateral of your house. If you are not lucky, they say you know. But then our solution, let's say, it's we give you the opportunity to sell a portion of your future rights in order to receive a cash advance today and develop these artists. So for, let's say, 5-10 years, you're not receiving, let's say, up to 50% of the rights that you're selling to investors, but then you receive this money today, and then you can boost your songwriters, you can go to the US, publish them, not publish them, let's say, advertise them with the producers of movies and sync and so on. So let's say our value proposition is much more in this direction. Let's say we become your financial partner for your normal business, because our core capabilities are not into the real deep nitty-gritty music publishing. We will not go to check to the tono, how much they paid, if it was the right amount, and so on and so forth. What we do is we collaborate with you. You remain in charge of the management of the rights, so that's why I say up to 50% we take care of. Because in this way all of the interests are aligned, and we can, let's say, build together something more. We can develop something more. That's the key concept. And because all this, in my opinion, goes in the direction of always going into the more independent and a bit more, let's say, to keep the independency of the music players, because I think this is in the interest of everybody, because you can protect the creativity of the single individuals. You can really create something new. Then how to say that's, and then if we also connect to our full scope, it's also about providing you an extra visibility into the marketing point of view. Because imagine, instead of giving away merchandising or advertising your normal promotion, you can say to your fans, look, I'm selling a piece of my songs of last year, for instance, that was a success. Do you want to buy this, let's say, ANote? That's why also our name is coming from this. So do you want to buy ANote of this catalog? And then also you are allowing us to create more and support us. And on the other side, on the point of view of the investor or the music fan, you are buying into a valuable asset, which is for sure worth it. And at the same time, you are helping a creator to remain independent, let's say. So it's, I would say, it's a hard job. We are starting now to really get into the partnership with the publishers. We are aligning some deals that we will propose in the Q1 2020. But let's say this is the direction we are taking. And in terms of, you mentioned the prize we won in BIM in Spain a couple of weeks ago. It was a startup competition, because still we are a startup. And they really, the jury, what they said was, we really appreciate the large scope of your, let's say, of your mission. I mean, we see something valuable and something new coming out. We believe that you need some support, so that's why we are giving you this prize, because we feel that there is something good coming out of this new path that you are taking, let's say. And this applies also to your case. For instance, if you want to develop more a catalog that you have, you can sell a portion of your old one to develop a new one and maybe buy another catalog. So it's, let's say, helps to keep the money and the music moving, let's say. This is our scope.
Fredrik, you had a question?
How do you calculate the investments if you have new artists, for example, if you have newcomers?
Yeah.
Because this is the classic job of a music publisher as well, being the bank of the artist.
Yes.
Although they really just, we get some rights, but this is what you don't. But we have to calculate and the risk that we have when we invest.
In terms of newcomers, we don't take them for the moment, because it's exactly as you said, it's the job of a publisher and the record label. It's too risky. You cannot propose it to an investor. Look, I have this new guy, he's amazing, but we don't know how he will go. It's too risky for the investor. So what we do is to take catalogs which have at least 3 years of track record, so we can analyze and see how see how it should perform in the next years as well. Then we talk with the publisher, we discuss a bit how they want to continue to keep the catalog running and producing money. and then we arrive to a deal about the valuation, let's say.
So you are not an alternative to, when it comes to financing, maybe you offer an alternative to where the money comes from, but you're not doing the work, you are supplying the money for
Exactly.
like investment in
Correct.
future or current projects or something.
Correct. Maximum, let's assume there is an established artist which is, let's say, at the level that they have their own publishing company, that they are still established, and maybe they don't want to get with another publisher or getting into a record label. They just want to stay independent, and in that case, they could, let's say, have us as an alternative, but it's because they are doing their job, let's say. Still, our function remains the same, but let's say if you as a, let's say, medium famous artist that was famous, I don't know, 5 years ago, that now wants to push again and release something new, this could be an alternative to a normal publisher, but for the moment, our main line of business is collaborating directly with the publishers, because it's they are the asset managers of the industry, let's say, in this financial term. They know what we're talking about. They are the most skilled in the industry, so it's much easier and better to collaborate with them now, and this is the direction we're taking, let's say.
I would have plenty of questions more, especially to that setup and to the others. I think we've heard a wide range of what publishing can do, where publishers are involved, and how the work of a publisher and people who help the publishers to exploit the rights can help artists and writers and composers to get the income that they deserve and develop their careers. I'm sure there are some questions in the audience, if I'm not mistaken, and I'd like to take the remaining minutes for that.
Hi, I'm Benjamin. I play in a Ghost Wave industrial band, so when you talk about Neubauten, it's like, yeah, this is my kind of people. And I would have a practical question, like for any artist, yeah, being published, being synchronized into an ad, a movie, that would be just amazing. But what would you say to an artist or a band? How do we get in touch with you? How do you sign? Well, how do you decide? Yeah, this band is going to go on my catalog better than another one. I mean, it's just.
I can answer. Try to answer. Like we would like to look at numbers. It depends on. Do you want a publishing deal, or do you only want to sync, like a sync deal?
Well, yeah, like a sync deal, for example. Yeah. How do you?
We don't do sync deals, but you do.
I guess for us, it's really like what the client's after. It's all in response to client needs. We wouldn't want to take, say, a band on and then just give them false expectations and say we're working with you for a year, we've got a contract with you for a year, and we know that we haven't, say you're thrash metal or something, we haven't had a thrash metal client brief in for 3 years or whatever, and then we take you on, it's just not going to happen. So we only just take on what we feel that we can represent to the best of its abilities. That's how we like to focus on it. We don't like to take on bands and labels and publishers that we know there won't be any opportunities for. There might be with other sync agents, and if that does happen, I would say approach as many different agents as possible, because they might have clients that we don't, that are after thrash metal. So I'd say that's how we like to approach it, and I know that a couple of like sync friends that have got agencies as well do the same, but I would say just contact as many different sync reps as you can.
You were asking about a publishing deal, like a deal for you as composers to work together with the publisher rather than a sync agent.
Well, yeah, also it's just
Yeah.
anything for a band or an artist, yeah, to get to work with, well, let's say a publisher, for example.
Yeah. Well, publishers, if I may answer, and you do A&R, what record companies call A&R, artists and repertoire. They scan the market, they scan the scene, they get recommended live concerts, streaming figures. They have a network of information. And then you, as an artist who has professional intentions, you scan the scene as well. You find out where other artists that you are in are published, for instance. You find out the address, you approach them at conferences like this, you make yourselves known to people. You play live. You record proper demo material, and then you contact them one way or the other, and say, look, this is what I do. This is the success that I've been having. I've come to here. I need a partner for the next step. Would you be interested? Is this roughly the way how you handle A&R?
Yes, but then again, I would think like maybe you won't have, like maybe sync isn't the thing that we would focus on if I worked with you, for example. Maybe we would focus more on the live scene, like do you have a lot of concerts a year? Then we have to like be like aware of like doing like what Fredrik said, like go to all the countries you played in and then see if all the concerts have been registered. And if not, then we'll have a collecting job to do. So maybe that will be your need instead of the sync part. So everything is very different from act to act, like how we work with people on the publishing side.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're quite old school. We just, if you like to present your music, then send music. Best case is a streaming link, and obviously it's to get being heard is quite secure when you have a recommendation. If there's someone that knows you, knows us as well, and tells this is a good guy, listen to it, then we will, of course. So we're getting quite a lot of music. So sometimes it takes a very long time to respond to something, but try again. And we usually decide by the music, and we usually like to see someone playing live if it's a real band. And then we sit down and discuss, as Wendy said, what do you really need? And then we find the tailor-made construction for you that keeps your rights, helps us to exploit what you have, and like that.
But you learn to be honest in that business. You have to learn to say no, and you as an artist have to learn to accept no as an answer, because not every publisher is the right publisher for you. You have to find the right.
Even
publisher.
if I think you have a perfect track for sync, I won't promise that we get it synced, because we never promised this, and I have so many songs I think they are perfect for sync, and never got a deal. So
We have another question. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to say to you that, and to all of you, that you have, as you say, Fredrik, 40,000 tracks a day on Spotify, but your track might be the one that stands out from the crowd. Just to be positive on that note, it might be perfect for a Spider-Man trailer or whatever. So it could be an epic track that had the right build up to whatever you guys were looking for. So just stay calm and work. And then just on a short note, I just want to say, for the Nordic countryside, that we have 30 publishers in Copenhagen, in Denmark, and we have a really structured society with the Publisher Society. So we have the biggest independent Nordic publishing company, William Hansen, that you work with through Music Sale, just to let you know that it is really structured in the Nordic countries regarding the publishing side.
Thank you. Any more questions? Over there, please. Nils, would you pass the mic over there?
I was wondering, talking about syncing, what do you think about CD Baby Pro, their publishing part? Like, is that a good way for starting artists to sign up with them? Or would you say it's better to try to get a publishing deal right away?
you did already. You told about this agencies who just have a platform,
don't
an
wanna
online
badmouth them.
platform. Yeah, but it's a bit like that, isn't it? You need for placing a sync, you need a relationship to the guy who needs music.
Yeah, I mean they're good. I mean, you mentioned they're my next door neighbour, so I don't want. They are literally the office next door to me, the other side of the wall, so they might hear me. I don't know.
This is being filmed, by the way.
Oh, hey. They're great. I mean, look, it works for some people. It works for some people. It obviously works. A lot of companies do it. We don't do it. We prefer to have a really close relationship with the people that we represent. I would personally suggest I would go to more of a boutique sync agent that don't rep as many people, because you will get the attention that you want, and you will be in weekly communication, not daily communication. But I guess if you'd like to try it, I mean, I don't know how their structure really works, but it does work for some people. But I would suggest a boutique agent is really good for some people that are coming into the industry with new works.
But I mean, especially because they also claim to take care of all the professional rights.
Right.
Is that something they're good at, or does it just sound good on their website?
I mean, they're a big company.
You don't want to give away your rights in exchange for a simple service, and especially if it's just a dehumanized service. To put something up on a platform is like the easiest thing you can. My daughter can do it, or your grandma can do it, and I think my grandma, well, bless her, my daughter would like to have the share of your rights, just to put something up in a school break or something. But that's not really a service. It's something that you could do yourself. If someone really works for your stuff, if someone really is your partner, you're willing to share something. But if someone just provides a platform, why should you go with him? And this being like a people's business, and people, each of one sitting here, from someone who talks to investors about music, to publishers who talk with their artists, and with the clients who are potential users of the music. We put a lot of effort in individual quality and care in our work, and this is what good music deserves. And for that, you have to find the right partner. Not every partner goes for every music, but to find the right one is also part of your professional life.
Yeah, and I would just add on to that a lot of the agencies like us do have publishing arms, which do all of that as well. So you can get a really sort of close relationship with a small company and still get what a company that looks after millions of songs does as well. So I wouldn't see that as sort of a big part of the deal that they offer. But yeah, I guess it's horses for courses, what we say in in Britain. Yeah.
How are we with time? So, final question. I thank you for your attention and for interest in this subject. We could go on for hours, and I think every one of us here on the stage has stories to tell. We're all available during the time of the conference, so don't be shy and talk to us. That's what we come from, and that's what we love to do. Thank you all on the panel. It's been really great, and I learn a lot every time we do something like that. We have to chat more. And thank you. Have a great conference. Good day.
Thank you.